Now, in the next step, there was a small error here that this should be -1, -3, right? So this will become -4. And so therefore this becomes 4. And so this becomes x less than or equal to 4. Okay. And for the second inequality, I got x greater than or equal to 2. So you have two inequalities here, x less than or equal to 4 and x greater than or equal to 2. That means x must lie between 2 and 4. Okay. So this is the condition that we got from the first restriction. Now the next restriction I told you was that mod x minus 2 greater than 0. Now I told you there's a small explanation that needed to be done here. So let's say I say here that I say here that mod x minus 2 greater than 0 means mod x greater than 0, greater than 2. That means x must be less than -2 and x must be greater than 2. So how am I getting this here? Okay, take note of this. If you want to solve any equation involving mod, this is the kind of approach that you will follow. Why am I getting this here? So we have mod x minus 2 greater than 0. Okay, from here we get mod x greater than 2. Now if I square both sides, I'm going to get mod x square is greater than 2 square, right? So that means mod x square is the same as x square, because mod x square is always positive, and so is x square greater than 4. So now I can write this as x square minus 4 is greater than 0. That means you have x plus 2 into x minus 2 must be greater than 0. Now if you see, this is a product of two linear factors. You must apply the method of intervals here, right? From the method of intervals, if you put x plus 2 is equal to 0, you get x is equal to -2. And if you put x minus 2 is equal to 0, you get x is equal to 2. So the lower one is -2. And you have a greater than sign here. So that means from method of intervals, we must have x less than -2 and x greater than 2, right? So that is the result that we have got here. Okay. So that was the explanation for this. Okay. So any question that you get involving inequalities, you can always do with this approach. Or better still, remember that if you have mod x minus a greater than 0, where a is positive, you can remember this, then you must have x less than -a and x greater than a. Okay, so if you remember this, you won't have to go through all this. Okay, so that was the explanation for this. So how many restrictions are we getting? This is the first restriction we are getting. This is the second restriction that we are getting. Okay, and what else should be the restriction? If you see in the denominator, I have a log here, right? So therefore, denominator cannot be equal to 0. That means log of mod x minus 2 cannot be equal to 0. That will give our third restriction. Now, ln mod x minus 2 must always be cannot be greater than 0. We'll find those values for which it is not equal to 0. Okay, so that means you get here mod x minus 2 is not equal to e to the power of 0, because the base of the log is e. That means mod x minus 2 is not equal to 1. That means mod x is not equal to 3. If mod x is not equal to 3, that means x cannot be equal to +3 and x cannot be equal to -3. Both, right? So this is the third restriction that we are getting here. Okay, now we need to combine all the restrictions. So how do we combine? First of all, look at the first restriction. In the number line, x must lie between 2 and 4. I have a 0. This says your 2 and this is your 4. So x must lie between 2 and 4. Okay. In the second restriction, if you see, x cannot be, has to be less than -2 and x has to be greater than 2. So x, let's say -2 is, let's say somewhere over here. So if x is less than -2, that means you must have all these values, right? And if x is greater than 2, must take all these values, right? And what else is the third condition? Third condition here is that x cannot be equal to 3 and neither can it be equal to -3. So let's say you have a -3 here and let's say you have a 3 here. So this cannot take these two values. So what is the net result that we are getting here? If you see, the net result that we are getting here is x, because x can take any value from here till infinity, and x lies between 2 and 4 here. That means first intersection that we are getting is x lies between 2 and 4, right? The next restriction, if you see, that we are getting here is x uh, cannot be equal to 3. That means x must belong to this interval here, right? That means you have 2, 3. It cannot be equal to 3. And I've given a box bracket here. And what else? Union. What else value can it take? It can take the value 3 and inclusive of 4, right? So this is the required domain of F. So that means we write here, therefore, combining 1, 2, and 3. We get x must belong to 2, 3, right? And is x equal to 2? Can take x, no, it cannot take the value 2 because you have a curve here also. Okay, so x cannot be. So this bracket should not be a box bracket. This should be a parenthesis. This is an open interval. Okay, so this should also be an open interval. X belongs to 2, 3, union 3 and 4 because it can take the value 4. Hence, what is the domain of F? This open interval union this semi-open interval. Okay, so that is what this is. We now move on to some problems on even and odd functions. Okay. Look at number 2, part 1. Classify the following functions for being even or odd. 2, part 1. Given here is fx is equal to x e to the power of x plus 1 by e to the power of x minus 1. We need to check whether this function is even or odd. So what do we do? First of all, we calculate f of minus x. F minus x. In this expression, you simply substitute minus x for x. So you've got minus x here. You got e to the power of minus x plus 1 by e to the power of minus x minus 1. Okay. And we have got now minus x times e to the power of minus x can be written as 1 by e to the power of x plus 1. And again here we can write this as 1 by e to the power of x minus 1. Okay. So this is equal to minus x times. Now if you take the LCM in the numerator, e to the power of x will be the LCM. So 1 plus e to the power of x you will get in the numerator, and in the denominator e to the power of x is again the LCM, and you'll get 1 minus e to the power of x. So here what happens? E to the power of x, e to the power of x cancel. So you're simply getting minus x times 1 plus e to the power of x by 1 minus e to the power of x. Okay. So now minus x is, keep it here. Now you see that in the numerator, I have 1 plus e to the power of x, which can be written as e to the power of x. Let me introduce a bracket here because I have to take a minus out. E to the power of x plus 1, and the denominator you can write this as minus e to the power of x minus 1. I have taken the minus out in the denominator, so which is equal to minus x times minus e to the power of x plus 1 by e to the power of x minus 1. Right? So what you see here is that these two minus signs, they combine with each other to form a plus sign, and therefore you get x into e to the power of x plus 1 by e to the power of x minus 1. So what you see here is that we are getting back fx. From f minus x we started, and we are getting back fx. So therefore, since f minus x is equal to fx, hence we say that fx is an even function. Okay. Determination of even or odd function, mostly questions will be in the form of MCQs. Okay. Fine. Let's proceed with the next problem. Second question, if you see here, is we have fx is equal to x square minus mod x. Now mod x, from definition of mod x, if you remember, this we can remove the mod if we write fx, if we can determine the values of fx in intervals. So if x is positive, then mod x will be equal to x. If x is positive, and it will be equal to let's say let's put a 0 also, let it be equal to 0 also, because even if it is equal to 0, it will still be x. So x square minus x, if x is greater than or equal to 0. And what else? X square minus, and mod x will be equal to minus x if x is negative. This is from the definition of modulus function. Definition of modulus function is very important. You will be using this most often. Okay. And therefore, x can now be written in a more simplified form as x square minus x if x greater than or equal to 0 is equal to x square plus x if x is less than 0. Now we need to check whether this function is even or odd. Now, when x is greater than 0, what is the value of fx? Fx here is x square minus x, right? Now, therefore, what should be the f minus x? Because we need to check even or odd. For positive value of x, what is f minus x? F minus x is equal to, replace this by minus x, let's say greater than or equal to 0 here, minus x square minus of minus x, which is equal to x square plus x, right? But f minus x, but for x greater than or equal to 0, what is the value of fx here, right? But what are we getting here? X square plus x, which is not equal to x square plus x. Therefore, what do we say? Therefore, fx is neither odd nor even. Okay. So a function, it is not necessarily possible that all the function will be either even or odd. There will be functions that will neither be even nor be odd. Okay. Let's see the next one. Third is, the given function is sine log x plus root x square plus 1. You need to check whether this function is even or odd. So first of all, we find f minus x. F minus x is equal to sine log, you replace x by minus x. Let me give a curly bracket here. Right? Now, sine log minus x plus root over of x square plus 1. Now, how do we deal with this? Is f minus x is equal to fx? Till now, nothing. So what we do here is, in order to check whether it is equal to minus f, is it equal to fx or minus fx or not, what we do is we multiply the numerator and denominator of this fraction by the rationalizing factor. Okay, so here we have root x square plus 1 minus x, right, in the numerator. So you
Yes.
multiply the numerator and denominator by root x square plus x. Root x square plus 1 plus x. Okay, fine. So sine log, now in the numerator you have root x square plus 1 whole square minus x square divided by root x square plus 1 plus x. Okay, so we get sine log x square plus 1 minus x square, and in the denominator you have only this remaining, root x square plus x plus x. So here x square and x square, they cancel. So you simply get sine log 1 by root x square plus 1 plus x. Okay, now from the properties of log, what can we write this? This is very important. Sign of reciprocal, sign of log of reciprocal. Okay, remember this. Log 1 by something can be written as log m by n, can be written as log m minus log n. Right? So this can be written as sine of, and log 1. Natural log of 1 is also log 1, any base to any base is 0. So this is 0 minus log root x square plus 1 plus x. So what are you effectively getting here? You're getting sine of minus log root x square plus 1 plus x. Okay, and sine of minus theta is what? Minus sine theta. So you can take this minus sign out. Minus sine log root x square plus 1 plus x. Now check fx. What was fx here? This sine log x plus root x square plus 1. Now is it equal to fx here? Yes. Is it equal to minus fx?
No, sir.
So thus f minus x is equal to minus fx. So what can we say? Fx is an odd function. Okay. No problems here?
No, sir.
We move on to the next problem. Which is number 4, sin x plus cos x. So I say let fx is equal to sin x plus cos x. So in order to check, we find out f minus x. F minus x is sin minus x plus cos minus x. And sin minus x is nothing but minus sin x. And cos minus x, cos absorbs the negative sign, so you get plus cos x. Now, is it equal to fx? It's not equal to fx, right? Or minus fx, isn't it? So thus, therefore, hence we say fx is neither even nor odd. Nor odd. Okay. Next is greatest integer function. If you remember greatest integer function I discussed, look at number 5. What was greatest integer function? Just a reminder. If fx is equal to greatest integer of x, then what can we say? How will you find the values of fx? Suppose if I give you f 3.9. Yes, you can hear me properly? Is there an audio
No, sir,
problem?
cannot hear you. Your voice is. Yes, sir.
Now you can hear me clearly? Still an audio problem.
No, sir. Yes, sir.
There is something wrong with the connection. Okay. Now, if you remember, f is equal to greatest
Yes,
integer
sir.
of x. Okay. So f 3.9, suppose if I want to find out, then how do I find out? It is the greatest integer of 3.9. And what do we do? If this number is positive, we take it as 3, right? And now suppose if I want to find out f minus 3.9, how do we find this out? Minus 3.9, greatest integer of minus 3.9. If this number is negative, we after minus 3, we take the next integer, which is minus 4, right? That's what I had told you. Now suppose if we take f of let's say 0.7, what should it be? Greatest integer of 0.7, 0, right? However, if we take minus 0.7, what will it be equal to? After 0, what is the next greatest integer? Minus 1, right? So this was the greatest integer function that we talked about some time back. Now let's check whether the greatest integer function is even or odd. Number 5. So I say let fx is equal to greatest integer of x. Okay. Now suppose x is equal to 0.5, right? Therefore, what is f 0.5? As I told you, f 0.5 must be equal to how much? How much? F 0.5? 0.5 is positive. That means we take 0 only, this part, right? We simply remove the decimal part. Also, f minus x, if we want to find out, let us take f minus 0.5. What will it be equal to? Minus 0.5. And in case the number is negative, what number do we take? We not only truncate this part, but we take the next number after 0, which is minus 1. So we see that f minus x is not equal to fx for x is equal to 0.5. Therefore, if we get only even one exception, what should it be? Can we say fx is even or odd? We say fx is neither even nor odd. Clear? Can we move on to the next part? Domain and range. Now, till now, we have done problems on domain. We have not done range. Now, what was domain and range that we talked about? Suppose if you have two sets A and B, okay, and you have certain values. So you have certain elements in this set and you have certain elements in this set, right? Now, what happens that if every element is mapped onto this element, by the relation f, then what is it called? It is called a function, right? Now, what is the domain of this function? All these values which have an image, right? Suppose there was one element which did not have an image, then it becomes a relation, isn't it? A to B. But what if we remove this? Then it becomes a function, right? Similarly, so domain describes only those values which have an image, right? And what do you mean by range? Range comprises of the set of elements with these. Can you hear me? Am I audible? So domain means all the acceptable values of x, and range means all the acceptable values of y, so that it becomes a function. So with this idea, let's start with the next set of questions. First question is, find the domain and range of the following functions. So given here, fx is equal to x square plus x plus 2 divided by x square plus x plus 1, where x belongs to set of real numbers. So even if it is not given, you will assume it to be real. Now see, for what element that this does not have an image? Only when the denominator is equal to 0, right? But is the denominator equal to 0? Let's check. We have x square plus x plus 1. Can this be equal to 0? That is the question here, right? Now see, I will show that this is always positive. You cannot actually factorize x square plus x plus 1, right? So I will show that this is always positive and can never be equal to 0. How? X square, this is your a square term, plus 2ab plus b square, right? Now what is extra that I have added here? 2x. But here how much do I have? X. So I'll subtract 1x from here. Clear with this? As in quadratic we were doing, if you remember, quadratic functions. X plus 1 whole square minus x, right? So here, for x belongs to R, this cannot be equal to 0. This can be equal to 0. Just give me a minute. This should be 2x actually. Okay, just change this question. This should be x square plus 2x. Okay, fine. Let's change this question. Okay, so we must have x square plus 2x plus 1, which is equal to x plus 1 whole square, which is never equal to 0, right? So the denominator is always positive in this case, and it can, and denominator is never 0. And if denominator is never 0, you don't need to worry about the images now. So therefore, what should be the domain of f? Domain of f must be equal to the set of all real numbers. It can take any real number. Okay, and whatever be the value of the numerator, you just have to check the value of the denominator. Whether if denominator is equal to 0, it will give an infinite value. Only for that you have to check, right? But here you don't have to worry about the denominator because the denominator is positive. So therefore, domain of this is the set of all real numbers. Now the question is, what should be the range? how to find out the range. That is the technical part, to find the range of fx. Now this is how we proceed when finding range. Okay, what we do is we assume let y is equal to x square plus x plus 2 divided by x square plus 2x plus 1. Okay, so now you cross multiply here, you get yx square plus 2xy plus 1 is equal to x square plus x plus 2. Now what you do here is you collect the x square terms together. Yx square minus x square plus 2xy minus x plus 1 minus 2 is equal to 0. You take y common, you get y minus 1 x square, and from here you take x common. You get 2y minus 1 x. 1 minus 2 will give you minus 1. Or is it y? This should be y, isn't it? When we are multiplying, cross multiplying, when we multiply this, you get yx square plus 2xy plus y. Okay, so plus y minus 2. So we have expressed this as a quadratic in x. Now x is real, right? Because we have already determined that the domain of f is real. So x is real. So the roots of this equation are always real. Since x is real, and what is the condition for real roots? Discriminant greater than or equal to 0. That means you have b square, b is 2y minus 1 minus 4 into a into c must be greater than or equal to 0. Now we want to solve this inequality. Just as we were doing in quadratic theory, we have 4y square minus 4y plus 1 minus 4 times. If you multiply here, you get y square minus 3y plus 2 greater than or equal to 0. So you get 4y square minus 4y plus 1 minus 4y square plus 12y minus 8 greater than or equal to 0. So what happens here? 4y square, they cancel. You get 12 minus 4, which is equal to 8y. And you get plus 1 minus 7, minus 8, which is minus 7, greater than or equal to 0. So you get y greater than or equal to 7 by 8. That means if y is greater than or equal to 7 by 8, the value of this function is always greater than 7 by 8. So that means which interval does y belong to? That means y belongs to this semi-open interval 7 by 8 infinity, right? And therefore what is the range of f? Range of f is equal to 7 by 8 infinity. Is this question clear? The first question? On
Yes,
any
sir.
doubts? No doubts on this question, how to find out the range? Finding out the range, the technique will remain the same for all the questions. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Let's see the next question now. Number 2. The second question here is given fx is equal to square root of 3x square minus 4x plus 5, where x belongs to R. Okay.